Friends, as we have discussed yesterday about waiting for Godot, and we talked about how this particular play is an absurd play, and what Samuel Beckett wants to point out about the conditions that human being lived in. Even yesterday, we have discussed about how the first act and how all these characters, four characters, Vladimir, Stragon, Pozo, and Lucky, and how these four characteristic, how they are, and what is their role, what exactly the play talks about, and what this play discusses. We talked all those things in yesterday's lecture. Even we also talked about waiting is the central concern of this particular play, not Godot. That's why when it was asked to Samuel Beckett, who is Godot, he said, I don't know who is Godot. If I know it, I have mentioned it in the play itself. So Godot is actually an absent character. The absent character deals with, or absent character is having discussion around him, and the main concern is of waiting. Waiting is the main concern of the play. Now, if you look at it very minutely, what is meant by waiting? What we used to do, what we do when we call we are waiting. Waiting is to experience the action of time. And this action of time is constantly changing. It is not a static one. Imagine for a moment that you are waiting someone in the department to meet some teacher, or waiting for the clerk to fill up the form of examination. Waiting, what you are doing there? You are staying simply and you are watching that the action of time, the time is passing off. It is continuously changing. What you are or what you have seen at one particular time may not remain the same at the another time. It is constantly changing, and very interestingly, nothing real ever happens. Nothing is happening. And the change what you are observing, the change what you are experiencing is a kind of illusion. This ceaseless activity itself is a self-defeating. It is purposelessness, and therefore you have to consider it as a null and void. You are waiting for that. Action is not happening anything. Time is changing, but this change is of no use. It is purposelessness. You feel it self-defeating that you are not able to complete it. The more the things changed, please understand this very interesting sentence. The more the things change, the more they are the same. That's why we call it as an illusion. That's why we feel it as an illusion. Because things are changing. But you are not. You are staying at that one particular place. Time is moving. And you will find out that everything is changing. But it seems to be more and more the same thing. world. That world seems to be changing, but it is same. And that's why in the play Waiting for Godot, there is very interesting dialogue. What is that dialogue? The tears of the world are a constant quantity. For each one who begins to weep, somewhere else another stops. Everything is going on. Somebody is dying at some part of the world. Somebody is getting birth at some part of the world. It is continuously happening. It is having a constant quantity. There is no change into it. There is a proper balance maintained by the nature. So you cannot say there is no or there is nothing new in it. One day is like another. What is the next day for you? What is Monday for you is the same Tuesday. What is Tuesday is the same Wednesday, is the same Thursday, is the same Friday, is the same Saturday, is the same Sunday. You wake up in the morning, you do rest of the things, you eat, you sleep, you read, you join certain classes, you don't join certain classes, but you're doing the same thing in your daily life. There is no change in daily life. And when we die, we might have never existed. Something like that will happen. Somebody dies, the family member cries for some time, people feel sad for some time, but the next day the working start, and something it starts in such a way that you were not existed. Nobody feels emptiness. It is for some time you feel emptiness for that. Look out the kind of existential approach Samuel Beckett is taking. Your existence is of no more considered once you die. Nothing is going to stop if you die. What is going to stop? And please understand, this is a very interesting thing that we human beings used to follow. Till death, he is having certain name. But as soon as he dies, people started calling when the body is coming. Now they are not calling with the name. They are calling it as a body. When the body is coming, when you are going to cremate that body. That means your existence is abolished. As soon as you die, your name, your fame, your everything, whatever you did, do not have any thing to do with the rest of the things. Once you die, it seems that you were never existed in this world. As we find out, Pozo in the long dialogue in the first act exclaims in his great final outburst. If you've seen that play, he's talking for a long time, a long, huge, long dialogue for almost 5 to 7 minutes. He speaks non-stop. He speaks, and he speaks so fast. What he says, I'll read out some lines of that particular dialogue. What Pozo says at that time. Have you not done tormenting me with your accursed time? One day is that not enough for you? One day, like any other day, he went dumb. One day I went blind. One day we'll go deaf, and one day we were born. One day we will die. The same day, the same second, they give birth astride of a grave. The light gleams an instant, then it's night once more. What will happen? Nothing is going to happen, and that's why Beckett mentioning all those things. Why Beckett is talking about all those things in this particular way, because Beckett had seen the dead or deadly killings of thousands and thousands of people in World War II. What is their existence? No existence. Why? And that's why the basic question that everyone asks, that what is your existence? What kind of ego you are carrying with you? Once you die, nobody is going to remember you. You will be remembered for a few moments by someone. But the next day will not remember you. The things will go on as it was before. The only thing is that you were not there. But everything will remain the same. And after listening to this Pozo's complete philosophical remarks, Vladimir afterwards agrees. And Vladimir says, astride of a grave and a difficult birth, down in the hole lingeringly the fingers put on the forceps. How are you? And that's why when I asked at the beginning of the lecture that whether have you seen that play which I have posted on your group, the link of YouTube, and Anamika said, sir, but I am not able to understand it. It seems to be difficult. Yes, it is difficult because it talks about so much of philosophy of human life. The play is not simply talking about two persons standing and waiting for someone to come. These two characters are raising a very serious question. What kind of serious questions they are raising? What kind of seriousness they want to talk about? And still, we know the fact that we are not going to survive throughout. We are not going to survive for lifelong. But what will happen? Still, we are waiting for the hope. There is a hope. It is not like that human beings do not realize this fact that they are going to die tomorrow. They realize this fact that they are going to die tomorrow. But this death is not stopping them. This is not making them to stop. This death is not making them to make all those things. This death is making them to live still in the hope. And they are waiting. And similar thing happens with Vladimir and Estragon. They are living with an hope. And this hope, you will find out, my friends, that what they are talking about, and this hope, what they are discussing about, is the most important thing that Samuel Beckett is interested in pointing out. And that is how you will see that both the characters, they wait for Godot, whose coming will bring the flow of time to stop. There is one moment in everybody's life. What is that moment? The moment is we want to have someone to come with us, attach with us, to be part with us, so that whatever time is flowing, the time will stop for a moment. And look out these feelings. You will find out most of the romantic moments of life. You feel that at that time this moment should stop. And that's why if it is not stopping, you develop a technology called taking photographs, because that moment you want to keep it still, which is not in your hands to still that moment, which is not in your hand to stop all those things. You can't stop it. Can you stop that moment? No, you can't stop that moment. What are you doing then? You have taken support of the technology, take the moment, capture it in the photo in your camera, and keep it at a still. And somewhere, sometime, somewhere you feel you can go back and search that, okay, this was the time when I was looking like this. So if you see that everybody is having hope that tomorrow someone will come. Here, Vladimir and Estragon waiting for Godot, and Godot is not something what you feel, because it was somewhere the critics' perception that Godot means God. But Godo can be any person for you. For me, a person who comes in my support, in my help at my needy hours can be Godo for me. So Godo is not a different person. Godo is not someone who is not familiar with. Godo is a kind of person who comes, helps you, and for that you feel that time stops for that moment when he comes with you. So what Vladimir says, tonight perhaps we shall sleep in his place. In warmth, dry, our bellies full on the straw. It is worth waiting for that. It is not. This is what Beckett mentioned in Waiting for Godot. This is what I read. This was an actual passage omitted in English version. But he has used this thing in French, Waiting for Godot. Because the lines which Samuel Beckett is interested in pointing out suggest we want peace, suggest the rest from waiting. We want rest from waiting. Because in the sense of having arrived in a heaven, that is what Godot represents to these two tramps. We are also expecting the same thing. Put yourself into that particular position and find it out. As I said, you are waiting for someone. And when you are waiting for someone, you find that person comes. What happens at that time? Have you experienced it? If you are waiting for someone and the person is not coming for a long time, and all of a sudden you find that the person arrives, what kind of feeling you have at that moment? You feel relaxed. You feel that you have come out of that sense of waiting. This is the hope that once this person will come, I will be relaxed. I will be in peace. Same thing happened with these two tramps. They are hoping to be saved from the evanescence and the instability of the illusion. Instability of the illusion of the time. To find peace. To find a kind of peace and permanence outside of waiting. If you come out of the waiting, you find peace. Till the person comes, you are always intense. You think something. There is something going on in your mind. And you feel that it is not possible to complete all those things within that stipulated illusory time. Vladimir and Estragon wait for Godot, although their appointment with him is by no means certain. There is no certain appointment. They are simply waiting for Godot, expecting that sometime he will come. And as I said, when we are comparing Vladimir and Estragon, I said Estragon does not remember at all that they are waiting for someone. And Vladimir is not quite sure what they asked Godot to do for them. What they will ask if they meet Godot. It was nothing very definite. What kind of prayer? A vague supplication? And what Godot had promised them? That he would see and he would think it over, something like this. What is the thing that Godot will give to them? This is what the answers everybody is searching for. That's why most of the time you feel the play is difficult to understand if you read it or if you watch it. Now, if you watched it, now start reading it. And then make both the activities simultaneously. Look, run the play and read the script so that you can able to understand what is going on there. When Beckett is asked about the theme of Waiting for Godot, he sometimes refers to a passage in the writing of Saint Augustine. And what he used to say, there is a wonderful sentence in Saint Augustine. I wished I could remember it in the original Latin. It is even finer in Latin than English. What is the sentence that Saint Augustine, this is what Beckett said, huh? Do not despair. One of the thieves was saved. Do not presume. One of the thieves was damned. And Beckett adds to this sentence and said, I'm interested in the shape of the ideas, even if I do not believe in them. Believe in the shape of ideas. That sentence has a wonderful shape. It is the shape that matters. Now, if you understand the meaning of that particular sentence, that Saint Augustine said, do not despair. One of the thieves was saved. Do not presume one of the thieves was damned. Don't think that one thief was saved and one thief was sentenced, punished. Don't presume like this. Somewhere some thief was damned and somewhere some thieves was, one of the thieves was damned and somewhere one of the thieves was saved. So you need not to be happy with everything that is happening according to you. You wish this should happen accordingly, but this is not going to happen. And what Beckett is saying, I like the idea, not the thing that is taking place. Look out our condition. What is our condition? We like the idea. Idea of someone is coming to me. Idea of that he is meeting me. You like that idea. You don't know what shape it will take later on. Beckett is saying, I like that particular thing, the idea. The thieves. The theme of the two thieves that St. Augustine talked about, they meet on a crossroad. And the theme of the uncertainty of hope of salvation and fortuitousness of bestowal of grace does indeed pervade the whole play. Hope of salvation. Look out, if I give an example to understand it in a simple terms. What religion used to say? If it is Hinduism, it will say why people are doing good things in their life, because they want moksha at the end. Why other religions? Why Judaism? Why Christianity? Why Islam? Why these people are doing? Because there is a judgment day. On the judgment day, they will be asked to put their good deeds, and according to the good deeds, they will be rewarded or punished. There is a hope for salvation, that whatever I am doing, there is a hope that tomorrow I will be rewarded. And because of that hope, everybody is working. Everybody is working in that desire that tomorrow I'll get benefited out of it. If I ask you why you are studying so curiously in first year, you say there is a hope. With this hard work, tomorrow I am going to get something in my life. That is my hope. That is what I am feeling. That is what I am thinking. With the hope, everybody is doing all those things. And if you see Vladimir at the beginning of the play, said one of the thieves was saved. it's a reasonable percentage. Later on, he elaborates on that subject, he enlarges on the subject. And he says, two thieves, one is supposed to have been saved and another damned. And yet, how is that of the four evangelists? Only one speaks of a thief being saved. The four of them were there or thereabouts, and only one speaks of thief being saved. Of the other three, two don't mention any thieves at all, and third says that both of them abused him. Look at this. Everybody's perception is different. Nobody is talking of the same. What one, if I give an example of religion once again to you to understand it very easily. Everybody is having its own perception. What is an idea of good deeds in one religion may not be the same in another. The perception is different. Eating non-vegetarian food is not allowed in certain religion. Eating non-vegetarian food is allowed in certain religion. In that non-vegetarian food, there is a restriction of one particular animal. Certain animals are allowed to eat and certain animals are not allowed to eat. There are different perceptions of all these things. Why? To reach to the final, ultimate target. What is that ultimate target? Ultimate target is salvation. Everything yet, what you do with an hope, there is a 50-50 chance. If you look at the story, what Vladimir said at the beginning of the play, there is a 50-50 chance. But as only one out of the four witnesses reports it, and the odds are considerably reduced to. But if you look at Vladimir, what he points out, it is a curious fact that everybody seems to believe that one witness. It is the only version we know, my friend. And Estragon, whose attitude has been of skepticism throughout, he says when the thieves were caught, there were four witnesses, of which three talked about other and one talks about other. Everybody is looking at the one. And Vladimir is saying all those things, but at that time, Estragon, as we have seen his characteristics, he is escapist. He said very interesting sentence, and that sentence, that word he utters, the words are very beautiful. What he said, people are bloody ignorant apes. People are bloody ignorant apes. Now it is the shape of the idea that fascinated Beckett. Out of all these malefactors, out of all millions and millions and millions of criminals that they have been executed in the whole course of history of human civilization, only two, those appear in biblical version, remains constant in discussions of people. Not all the thieves remain discussion of the people. Because one happened to make a hostile remark, he was damned. One happened to contradict, he was saved. Now, if you look at the roles of both the thieves, as St. Augustine mentions that in his version of Bible. These after all were not considered as good judgment, but chance exclamation uttered a moment of supreme suffering and stress. As you will find what Pozo says about Lucky. Remark, that I might easily have been in his shoes and he is in mine, if chance had not willed it otherwise. To each one his next, to each one his due. And we find out that then our shoes might fit us one day and not the next. Estragon would torment him in the first act, and in the second act, this would fit him miraculously. If you see in the first act, he's playing with his boot, he's removing boot and putting boot, removing boot, putting boot. And the second act, this boot was so fixed, miraculously it was fixed. So what happens with human being? What human being used to do is unpredictable. And that's why you'll find out the one who dreams can able to take his legs up. If you see that performance of Waiting for Godot in that tube which I have given to you in the link, Estragon can able to remove the shoes and sleep by taking his feet up. Once you take your feet up, then you are going to have a dream. If your feet is touching to the ground, you don't have any dreams. Please remember that. When dreams will come, when you sleep, how you have to take sleep? What will be the posture? Your legs, your feet should not touch to the ground. Your feet are touching to the ground, you will not have any dream. Your feet should get out of the ground. And they said sometimes we used to say dreams are not going to be fulfilled. That those things are called as dreams. That's why it is unpredictable human behavior, unpredictable human life. Similarly, Godot himself is unpredictable, because still we don't know. If you consider Godot as a god, as we have discussed yesterday, Charles becomes Charlotte. Similarly, God becomes Godot. Why Godot is unpredictable? Because we don't know to whom he will punish or to whom he will reward. There is no exact parameters for the judgment. The boy who is his messenger minds the goat, and Godot treats him well. If you see all the prophets, they are shepherds. Majority of the prophets are shepherds. And that's why it is mentioned in most of the religions, especially the Judaized religions, that majority of the prophets are shepherds. And the boy in this play is also minding his goats, and that's why Godot treats him well. But the boy's brother who minds the ship is beaten by Godot. And when it is asked by Vladimir that why doesn't he beat you, the boy answers, I don't know, sir. Now, why I don't know? This dialogue you will find out frequently coming. If somebody asks, and the answer is I don't know. This I don't know dialogue, which is in French, he wrote, Je ne sais pas. I don't know. What happened when Beckett was passing in the lane at Paris? One Apache, one person, he stabbed him. He stabbed Beckett. In a real life, huh? It's not a story. The person stabbed Beckett, and Beckett asked, why you stabbed me? We don't know each other. Why you stabbed me? The person says, I don't know. This was the always continuous answer that man gave to Beckett. Beckett later on took him to the hospital and he was cured. All those things took place. But the sentence of that Apache, I don't know, remained constantly in his mind. That's why in the play you will find out most of the characters, whenever the question asked, they used to answer, I don't know. Same thing happens with us. Why you are struggling? Why you are doing all those things in your life? I don't know. Look at life of everyone, including all of us. You born, you grow up, you take education, then you take job, you earn money, you marry, you give birth to children, you took care of children, you grow them up, you make them to get job, then they get married, and you die. What you did, the same thing is done by your children. Again, their children are doing the same thing. Their children will do the same thing. Their children will do the same thing. Why they are doing it? If you ask someone why you are doing all those things, what will be the answer? I don't know. But this is what a routine of life cycle. This is life cycle. Who designed it? I don't know. If you see, my friends, this I don't know is the parallel to Cain and Abel, which is evident. Cain and Abel, these two characters in biblical stories. On them, Lord's grace fell on one rather than on another without any rational explanation. Now, if you see, only Godot beats the minder of the sheep and cherishes the minder of the goats. Why he is doing? No. Sometimes Godot also acts as a son of a man at the last judgment. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but goats on the left. That is what we will find out in biblical references. And if Godot's kindness is bestowed, his coming is not source of pure joy. If he's beating the one who is mending the ships, then if you are waiting for Godot, that Godot will come and help me out, maybe he will not help you, he will beat you. Who knows? He will beat you. And that's why when Estragon in the second act believes Godot to be approaching, the first thought appears in his mind. He says, I am accursed. And as Vladimir triumphantly exclaims, it's Godot at last. Let us go and meet him. Estragon runs at a different place. I am in the hell. Why I am in the hell? I don't know whether he will accept me or not. He will beat me. So he said, I am in the hell. I am not coming to see the Godot. If you remember, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the story that appeared in Milton's Paradise Lost. Saturn was the teacher of all the angels. And when God created Adam, he asked all the creatures to bow before him. And Saturn said, I'll not bow because I am made up of fire, and fire never bows in front of it. Fire always gets up in an upward direction. So I cannot bow. So God said, this Adam, I made it of sand, of dust. Dust can make the fire silent. You have to go. He said, no. And then God cursed him to be in the hell. And there's a famous dialogue that Saturn uttered when going to the hell. To be the servant of heaven, I would be happy to be the Lord of the hell. I'll be happy to be Lord of the hell. That is what Saturn said, and that's what Paradise Lost in Milton wrote in Paradise Lost. That's why Estragon feels that, okay, if the Godot will come, Vladimir is running happy to meet him, but he felt that he will punish me. So he said, I'm in the hell. I'm not coming to meet you. the fortuitous bestowal of grace, which passes human understanding. There is a human understanding that God will, with grace, bestow something to these human beings. On this line, human beings are divided. The one who do good deeds will be in the heaven. The one who will be punished will be in the hell. So human kindness, human beings are divided into two categories. The one who will go into the hell, the one who will go into the heaven. And when in the act second, Pozo and Lucky return, the two tramps try to identify them. And they try to identify them as the two thieves that appeared in Bible, Cain and Abel. Estragon calls out Abel, Pozo immediately responds. And Estragon calls Cain, Pozo responds again. Pozo responds to both the names. And after looking at that, what Estragon says, he is all mankind. This is not what happened with mankind. Call by any name. You are there to serve. After serving, you might be punished, you might be rewarded. You don't know. What is your fate, if I ask you? What will be your answer? I don't know what is my fate. Still I'm working in the hope that tomorrow he will grace me with something. There is even a suggestion that Pozo's activity is concerned with his frantic affair to draw that 50-50 chances. 50-50 chance of salvation upon himself. Because we are always doing the things in the way that we are having some chance. 50%. 50-50 we are doing. Whatever I am doing, I don't know whether it is correct or wrong. For me it is right, but for you it is wrong. So there is a chance of 50-50. It isn't 100%. Because perception of every person can change. So when in the first act, Pozo is on his way to sell Lucky at the fair, you'll find out what is the name of the market. The name of the market Beckett mentioned in the French version, not in English version. The market in which he is going to sell. He said, I am going to sell Lucky in a fair. What is the name of that fair? There is a market of Holy Xavier. Xavier means Christ. I'm going to sell him in the market of the Christ. What is the market of the Christ? Humankind, human beings. Now is Pozo trying to sell Lucky to redeem himself? To redeem the benefits? Look, I am giving him punishment. No, I should not be punished for that. Or is he trying to divert the 50-50 chance of redemption from Lucky to Pozo? I should not be redeemed. He should be redemption. Because he in this meeting, he used to say that Lucky is a great pain for him. And he's killing with him, with his mere presence, because Lucky is always present with him. He's killed day by day. We used to say always, the presence of this person is going to kill me. Because you don't like his presence. It is not that you like always someone's presence. Most of the time you don't like presence of the person. And when you don't like the presence of person, you feel it difficult. You feel it very much difficult for getting under. You're not able to understand that. And that's why it is very much important, my friends, to understand the fact that what it is being said, what it is being pointed out, what it is being mentioned, all those things, you'll find out that they are nothing to do with what he is trying to mention there. If you see, my friends, When Lucky gives his very famous demonstration of thinking, have you seen that he wear a cap and he start to speak a long dialogue, and in this long passage, he's somehow, you'll find out he's schizophrenic. And when he was schizophrenic in giving all his passage, he's talking about all those things. Again, it seems to be concerned with salvation, because he is talking about God, divine apatheia, divine love. This long speech of Lucky, and whenever I'll suggest you, my friends, when you're watching the play, please keep the long speech in the form of text in front of you so that you can read it when he's saying something, so that you can able to understand it. That's why I've given the link of the YouTube to you to watch that particular play. Because when he's talking, he's considering that everybody is considering that we have our personal God with his divine apathy, with his speechlessness and his lack of capacity of terror, of amazement, who loves us dearly with some expectations, who will be plunged into torments of hell. Everybody is having his own personal God. And in other words, God who does not communicate with us, God who cannot feel for us and condemns us for reasons unknown. That is what the condition of human being in the life. That is what the world had seen in the Second World War. And when Lucky and Pozo reappear in the next day, what happens in the second act? Pozo is blind and Lucky is dumb. And no more is heard of the fair. Whether they reached to the fair, what happened? No, we are not able to understand. And Pozo failed to say Lucky. Now his blindness in thinking that he could thus influence the whole action of grace has been made evident in the concrete physical form. In the physical form, he appears in front of me that he was unable to do all those things. He was unable to fulfill that particular thing. And that is why we have to point out, we have to understand this very interesting thing, that Waiting for Godot is concerned with hope of salvation. Waiting for Godot is concerned with hope of salvation through the workings of grace, seems clearly established by Beckett in both, in giving evidences and bringing it in the text form. Now, does this mean that it is a Christian, or is it a religious play? Now, there are ingenious number of interpretations of this. Number of interpretations. Vladimir and Estragon's Waiting is explained as signifying their steadfast faith and hope. Another is Vladimir's kindness to his friend. Another is, and the two terms, mutual interdependence. All these things are symbols of Christian charity. And that's why most of the critics used to say it is a religious play, because these are the symbols of Christian charity. But these religious interpretations seem to overlook a number of the times in the play. There's a constant stress on the uncertainty of the appointment with Godot, Godot's unreliability, Godot's irrationality, the repeated demonstration of the futility of hopes pinned on him. The act of waiting for Godot itself is an absurd thing. And that's why you'll find out that the demonstration taken into the play is that it is not talking about any god. That's why Beckett answered, I don't know who this Godot means. It depends on you to define the meaning. And that's why when I'm talking about the plot, I say there are closed plot and open plot. This is an open plot, which makes you to think, which makes you to define. For someone, Godot is God. For someone, Godot will not be God. There is one feature in the play. And that feature in the play that leads one to assume that there is a better solution to this tramp's predicament. And what is this? Another feature in the play. We will talk it in tomorrow's lecture. And probably we'll try to find out that how this play, which Beckett talks about, discusses very interesting thing, and how this play talks about very important element, that language is insufficient to express. And that's why you will find out Waiting for Godot, you will find out in Waiting for Godot, you will find out the language is not in a routine fashion uttered there. Language is always questioned in Waiting for Godot. Language is always questioned there in Waiting for Godot. And you will find out that everywhere there is a question about the use of language, whether that language is useful or not. That is what is always asked in Waiting for Godot. So tomorrow we'll talk about Waiting for Godot, and tomorrow will be I'll conclude Waiting for Godot, and then on Monday we'll move for the one act play. Sorry, on Tuesday we'll move for one act play, because on Monday there is going to be a holiday. So tomorrow at 11:30 we will talk about all those things with the conclusion of Waiting for Godot.